What's up? We're back again. We're talking about,
Back again.
yeah, first dates. And how many horrible first dates have you been on?
You know what? It's almost how many horrible second dates have you been on? Because that there is a choice. Like you knew that was coming.
Yeah, that's a
But
good point. That is a very good point.
but I
Not only the
digress.
first one could be terrible, the second one could be terrible as well. And we're going to
Yeah,
talk about that today.
we are. Yeah. But bad dates overall, they're almost a part of life. They're a rite of passage. I think just, you know, by being human in this day and age, imagine living in the ice age when you didn't have to date. You just like, I don't know, got
Oh,
banged and
club my girl and drag her back about a day.
yeah, like not by choice. And it just was what it was. Like choice is a killer.
It is.
Yeah.
And
But yeah.
speaking of choice, you guys have a choice to come work with either Kristen or myself. And I've been coaching men for 17 years, helping them with their dating lives, their marriages, divorces, careers, their businesses, living an awesome lifestyle. And they definitely make more money. So you can check me out at limitlessbrave.com. What do you got, Kristen?
Not 17 years, but a decade plus, which is pretty good, but also
Lot.
bad because then that means I'm old. Uh,
Me too.
but I've been teaching men how to be charismatic, magnetic, great at banter, fast on their feet, and really just someone that captures attention when they walk into a room. And that happens through many different facets. But my main course started as banter because I'm a comic. I know I don't look like it. I know I don't sound like it because I'm not funny, but I am a comic. That's how it started. And so I teach men not to be comedians, but how to be clever, fast on your feet, pass those shit tests, and beyond. And
That's
I actually have a banter, it's my ultimate banter masterclass. There's nothing like it out there. It will be out May 18th. And
nice.
if you're looking to just get ghosted less on apps, this will guarantee that. Check out my website, kristenandchilldating.com/banter to see the details and to sign up. But yeah.
Yeah, your banter guide's amazing. When we worked together, we gave that away as a gift, as a bonus for the guys, and I looked through it, and it was a lot of great content in there because guys struggle a lot with conversation, especially on that first date.
Yes. If they can get there because of the struggle before the first date.
Yep. Yeah. Well, yeah. Yeah, that's a whole nother part to dating is making that approach, and that's difficult. But yeah, I definitely help guys do that, and that's for sure. Um, You've said something a long time ago when we first started working together, and I thought it was so beautifully said. And it was that guys should make the first date an experience.
Yes.
And I love that because
Thank you.
it's true. You should. You should be making it an experience of some kind.
That's my whole philosophy really behind dating and coaching men. And I think it stems from the fact that I think I should have lived in a different era. And there's a word for it when you think every other era was better than when you live. Can't remember the name, but
I
the
don't.
Woody Allen movie, uh, Midnight in Paris, really highlights that. So I always imagine older eras. I know I romanticize them, but what I do is I see them cinematically in such a way that's almost unhealthy, but things used to seem, before I was alive, to be more of an experience, whether it's the cars that people drove. But like, come on, the wings on the back of the cars that are size of boats. I mean, that's an experience versus you get into your freaking Kia now that's just generic and like, there's so much of life has been dulled down
Yeah.
to the barest bones. There used to be artistry and architecture and the detail and now it's just get it done, get it done, get it done. And when it comes to dating, as a woman, and I know a man wants to feel it too, we know realistically we're not going to get a movie. That's not the goal, but we want to get it as close to that experience as possible because we live once. Women want to like feel. We just want to feel things. We want it to be like something we could journal and read back when we're 85 years old and realize what a beautiful experience falling in love was.
Hmm.
And now it's just such a programmed conveyor belt, which I think I've said before. One person after the next. Okay, we get coffee. Okay, get back into our boring Kia. Basically, all humans have just become Kias, really. And
Yep.
and if you can give someone an experience, it doesn't mean they're going to fall in love with you. Then your goal shouldn't be, I just need to manipulate and make this an experience for someone to fall in love with me. It's for you to also have the fullest life that you can look back on when you're 85 or 90
Yeah,
and say,
definitely.
wow, that was magic. And that was living. We're not living. And just as we're not living, we're not dating living.
Yeah,
We're dating dead, basically.
I like that.
It's like corpse dating.
Yeah, it's so true. And I noticed that I forget what Scorsese movie was, but it's been making its rounds on social media where they're going into the restaurant, right? And he's not waiting in line, parks his car, like some guy takes care of it. He walks the girl in. Is it Goodfellas? I can't remember which movie it is.
Oh, it's probably Goodfellas with that one long shot with
Yes,
Ray
the
Liotta.
one, yeah, the one long shot, and they're just like going through the kitchen and like that that is
Don't even come on, you're torturing me here. This is ah that
exactly.
that that's what motivates me is like that scene legitimately.
Yeah.
And there's new and I don't mean to cut you off. Continue. And I want to then add to that.
But that is making its rounds, and there's something to be said about that and the fact that it is because people are so fed up with the dead dating, as you said. It's horrible, and that whole scene is it's amazing because it's what a man wants to do for a woman that he's really into, and every woman wants to be with that man
Yep.
that's like got that connection set up and can just make things happen. And for women, guys believe, well, women talk about money with men a lot, right? Like that's something that's a resource that they want to see a man have, right? Because if you're going to be a wife at home and raising the kids, you need to know that he's got it covered. Everything's locked down and you're safe.
There's a difference
But
between gold digging
100,
and stability.
but I'm
And people listening or turning this off because I'm saying this, there's so many nuances to
yep,
dating.
yep.
And there's the majority of, not the majority, there's a mass amount of men who, and women who paint the entire thing
With
with one broad stroke.
very broad strokes. And what I was saying, while yeah, there's money involved in that Scorsese scene, it's not just about the money. even though he's handing out 20s as he's walking in, it's about the resources. It's
Right.
about making the connections to those people to pay them off. It's about getting in good with the other people that are in that restaurant scene. I mean, because it's not just about him paying his way in. It's about the social credit that he has and that social proof that she needs to see. And he's just kind of like, yeah, this is just what I do. And really creates what you've said, the experience of a date. And it's beautiful.
Yeah. So there's, I believe in that scene, I don't know if I'm imagining it now just because I haven't seen it in a long time, but he really grabs her in a way that's aggressive but not aggressive and pulls her through the kitchen and into the restaurant. And it's not done in a way that's gross or, abusive. It's done in a way that is so so strong. So, a man being so strong in his presence and knowing where he's going and knowing what he wants and knowing himself, and you're coming along with me. And women love that feeling,
Sure.
being guided in this way that's tough, but also protective, because he's got her close to his side, and this is his girl,
Yeah.
and he can be tough with anyone coming toward him. Not that he is in that scene, but he's soft with her
Yeah. Very much so.
in that scene. It turns toxic, the relationship,
Yeah.
but that's an experience,
Yeah.
you know. So you bring up the money part. I forget about the money in that scene. What I remember is the energetics of him being so focused on where he's going, what he's doing, who he wants, which is her,
Yeah.
and he wants to bring her into his world.
Yep.
And there's nothing sexier to me than that scene, really. Ray Liotta, ugh. And it's not just because he's got the eyes. He has, um, you know, he had bad skin, and I don't want to talk ill about the dead, but yes, he was sexy.
Yeah. Totally.
You don't have to be Ray Liotta to do something like that. I've experienced it with men that I've dated, and basically have just, I can't say like bad things. I'm wearing my cross and
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
pendant, this pendant, but they've made me want to do some things,
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
wouldn't be so appreciated here.
So saintly.
No,
Yeah. And I think that's a big problem with a lot of first dates is that guys get really wrapped up in like spending the money and all that stuff and thinking that that's going to make an impression. Well, sure, if you got the means to do it, right? But if you don't, you can still have that same kind of energy, exactly like you're talking about. It's the energy, it's the leadership, it's the groundedness, the direction, the care in which he maneuvers her through that kitchen scene and then out to the table, him glad handing all the people that he knows around, she's seeing all that social proof. That doesn't take money. That takes social skill set. That takes the ability to have a conversation, banter, talk, get to know people. And that,
presence,
yeah, I mean, and you can't put a price on that because it can get you into a lot of places.
right? And where you'll hear a lot of criticism when we say something like that is, but you have to be good looking to do that. No, you don't. Have you guys ever seen Joe Pesci? I'm not saying he's, porn star material, but I would totally fall for Joe Pesci.
Yeah,
I mean, even not that he's 98, not for money reasons,
yeah.
but
It's about the energy
it's
of it.
it's an energy, and it's not a gangster mafia energy, but there is something to be gleaned from mafia movies or movies in that genre because they epitomize that that person or the people that are just comfortable in their own skin.
Yep.
They don't give a shit. And if you're an accountant, nice guy, driving a Kia, you can choose to have that attitude. You've
Totally.
just chosen the safe route. So
Yep.
it's a choice.
It is a choice. It's a choice and confidence in that you know you're doing the best that you can at whatever level you're at. And if you own that, you can get away with a lot of stuff.
You can. You really, really can.
I, I
I
used
think,
I used to live in a van.
right. Yeah. I remember. Yeah. That's insane. For years. Right.
There's
Yeah.
no troubles with the
No
lady.
Chris Farley
No,
down by the
I
river
wasn't down
buying
by,
a
well,
van.
sometimes I was down by the river, but um, no, it was an infatuation that I was living like that because I owned that that's what I was doing. And girls loved it. They were like, wow, this is so cool.
Yeah.
So
There's
creating
something
an
so, so
experience, right?
yeah. It's an experience and you owned it.
Yeah,
If you didn't own it and you were ashamed and you were apologizing and you were saying it's just temporary, she would, obviously, but whoa, this guy's choosing to do this
yeah,
and he fucking loves it. That's awesome.
it was
You know,
awesome.
it might not be for everybody. It might not be, some women want, you know, not to date a guy in a van, but they might change their mind when they see the attitude and the
Sure.
ownership that comes with it.
Yep. Yeah, that's
I
what
mean,
it
I have so much to say on this because I am a very horny woman.
That's a
I'm
good
very
thing.
attracted to men,
Good.
and so my mind goes a million miles an hour because I want to say so many things about how attractive you can choose to make things.
Yeah.
Then there's the, saying, uh, I'm annoyed at myself because I'm like forgetting words and I'm going to get criticized. Um, okay, I know this is being recorded. This is a quick timeout. You're like, oh fuck, what is she doing? I know we've been taping for a little while. Is there any way you would want to start over?
Why? I think we just leave this awkward moment in here
No,
right
because
now.
because I'm gonna get comments from guys saying, why am I taking banter advice from someone who can't even speak?
Who cares?
And I'm hesitating, one, because I don't sleep right. I went to bed at 4, woke up basically at 7.
I mean, you live an
And then I
exciting
get
life, so that doesn't surprise me, you know?
what?
You live an exciting life. So,
No, it's not exciting. I'm up making thumbnails until 4 in the morning. Like, that's what I'm doing. And then have too much caffeine. And so I get like it. And this is not my time of the day. It's 1:30. I come to life around 6 p.m. That's my like noon for most people. But you're really not gonna let me out of this. You're really gonna.
so channel your six
Damn it. Marnie used to do this to me.
Kristen.
Marnie would do this to me. She'd be like, nope, keep going. And I'd be like, but I don't want to keep going. And she's like, nope, keep going. All right.
So
So,
anyway,
all right. Well, everybody, there goes,
you're
oh, there goes a ring.
you're a horny woman
Who's stuttering?
stuttering because she's so horny.
Right,
And
exactly. That's what I'm dealing with.
yeah, I
Look what I'm
mean,
dealing with.
hey, at least you got Clint over your shoulder, you know?
Yeah,
Not bad.
yeah.
And Yeah, what you said is so true. It's a choice. It's a choice to be a man that shows up and lives a great life and does the best he can. And women that are not gold diggers are going to see that and respect it and get way into that guy. This girl I used to know, she was dating, she was like 35 or something like that, making like good money as like a marketing designer or something, like doing something in marketing, like really good money. He was dating this guy. And I'll just say this, she's like very prissy about a lot of things, very put together, just dress sharp, fashionable all the time. She is head over heels for this dude who lives in his mom's backyard in a shed because he's passionate about his painting.
Yep.
She
And
she's like, he doesn't have any money. I pay for everything. I'm like, what?
yeah,
Huh.
yeah. And this is what hormones can do to women. They make us insane. They make us super attracted to the dude in the shed with his with his paintings, but also probably dead bodies.
Yeah,
We
maybe.
don't we lose all rationality sometimes when someone shows that comfort with themselves because it's so magnetic that
Yeah,
we just everything else goes out the window. Things become unimportant. Once checklists had a big piece of your life, now they don't exist.
yeah.
That energy makes you drunk. Is it sustainable? It can be,
Mhm.
but it's certainly something that is going to get you physically connected, at least,
Definitely.
for
And
probably some enjoyable moments.
yes, exactly. And I know what you're talking about, that drunk feeling. Oh my God. Like when the vibe is there, phew, like I have to check myself. I'm like, did somebody slip something in my drink?
Yeah.
Because it
And I
feels
did. It was me because I was hoping we could just end this podcast and restart it
again,
and
repeat me again.
pretend this never happened.
Oh my God, Kristen.
But yes, no, that feeling is it's the best drug on the planet. And there are studies that say love addiction is a different withdrawal than drug addiction because drug addiction, those chemicals don't naturally occur in your body. Like,
Yeah.
or those substances don't naturally occur in your body. They bring out ones that do. But that love drug, that brings out chemicals that we can't ever, ever fully withdraw from.
Yeah.
We can pretend and we can push it away, but once that love feeling hits, it's intense, and getting off of it is harder than getting off of heroin. If
So,
it's the
yeah,
certain
like
kind of,
heroin.
yeah, no, it really is. I have a lot of experience with it, and so I'm trying to stay a little private about what I say about it. Not with drugs, but with,
With the love drug.
yes,
So,
trying to get off of it.
so let's talk about how do we create a love drug experience for the first date, right?
Yeah.
Obviously, there has to be some kind of connection there. There has to be some kind of chemistry going on. I like a similar vibe of some kind, I think. But from a woman's perspective, when you say experience, what what are women looking for?
Obviously, it varies woman to woman. What stays consistent is the feeling.
Mhm.
So it depends on who you're going on a date with. So for me, for example, I always use this for some reason. It's my go-to. I love the 1920s. Like I said, I romanticize past eras, and experiences can come from the smallest little nuances. So I was on a second date with someone that turned into a boyfriend I lived with, etc. But he remembered me mentioning something about the 1920s. And we live in New York City. He knows the city well. And he just said, as we were walking, he stopped and he said, just go in that restaurant, go downstairs. No one's going to say anything. Just go down into the basement. It's this old speakeasy that hasn't been touched or something like since, whenever it's totally preserved. I don't know why he knows it's always empty. I don't know. So he let me go by myself. So it's not like it wasn't a clingy thing. He let me go by myself. New York, it's, small, condensed a lot of the time. So I just kind of sneak in this little restaurant. I go down this little set of stairs and I go into this other world that is a time capsule. And I was blown away. And so that it's in itself, I mean, the whole date and our first date was talk about experience. But that in and of itself, just that one moment
Mhm.
can make something an experience.
Yeah.
I was not expecting that. It was a detail that I may have said in passing that I didn't know he mentally recorded, but was really important to me. I wasn't expecting to see what I saw. And I'll never forget that moment of going down there and being like, wow, there's no one down here to kill me. He's like actually like being sweet, you know. But no, it was such a, again, that was just one moment. So a lot of experience is small, is nuanced.
Mhm.
And so when men hear, oh, I have to give her an experience, they think in this one-dimensional black and white way. Just like, oh, I gotta get big roses and do this whole charade and pretend I'm really into something and then surprise her with this and that and this and that. No, really, you just have to pay attention
Yeah.
and find what will make something an experience. So I call this micro spontaneity. There's spontaneity that we all have heard of. Oh, women want a man who's spontaneous. And people hear that and they think big picture, just, oh, pick up your suitcase. We're headed to the Bahamas right now.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
it's not that. Like, life is not one big cliche, it's nuanced. So instead of thinking you have to be this spontaneous, like wild guy who's always doing crazy stuff, no, being spontaneous can be, wait a second, there's this really cool looking park over there. It's got weird headstones in it or something. I don't know why it's dark and dreary, but that's my brain.
Because he's
Let's just go.
dating a
Let's just go.
goth girl.
What's that?
Dating a goth girl.
Yeah, I'm so like, I need to. I mean, I have the dark eye makeup on. I should have black nail polish. Um, but just that little moment
Mhm.
can shift and adjust from we're grabbing coffee, blah, to we grabbed coffee and then like went through this crazy old cemetery that has like three headstones, but all these crazy sculptures. And there's a bench, and we sat on the bench and had the coffee there, and it felt like eerie, but also romantic. And it was fall. Oh, suddenly a coffee date went from let's grab coffee at the Coffee Bean to let's fucking experience something or feel something. And
Yeah.
so a lot of the time, you want to be on your toes enough that when you spot something, you can improvise and go with it and you don't have to act like you thought it out, but just on the spot, it becomes an experience. Or if it's new to you, you can think ahead a little bit. Like my ex, maybe he thought, I don't think he was this crazy, but maybe he thought, oh, I know she likes the 1920s, so I'm going to walk, around and past this street and that street just so we can walk by this one restaurant so I can tell her to go downstairs. And, you know, I don't think that he planned that, but if you have to at the beginning, do that.
Sure.
And so that's it's the micro moments and the micro spontaneity that create a bigger experience. Now, there's other ways to have a bigger, like a literal bigger experience,
Mhm.
but those touches, those nuances, that's what sticks with women. That's the feeling. Depends on what the nuance is for her and who you're on the date with. Like if you took a girl who wears all pink and is really frou-frou into a creepy cemetery, with old statues, probably not, she might not
Yeah.
be feeling it.
Yeah.
But with the right girl, wow, that was really cool. Like I've never had a date like that before.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like you said, it's paying attention to things that she says she's interested in. It could be something as simple as, you're having a conversation and you ask her what kind of coffee she likes. And maybe you don't meet up for a couple weeks and you get there ahead of time and order her exact coffee and you're there waiting when she shows up with with her order. And like, how the hell did he remember that?
Right.
Something
Exactly.
something that's really tiny. That's like a nothing thing.
Right.
And or like if you know like this cool place. So like you and I have kind of switched places. You're on the East Coast now, I'm on the West Coast.
Right.
I know this place that overlooks all of Los Angeles. And it's up on this hill and it has a little swing, little like rope swing. And
Is it an Asian restaurant by chance?
it's not a restaurant. It's
Okay.
in a neighborhood that most people are deterred to go into because
Okay.
there's all this like signage, but I know how to get in there. And so I would like drive up there and be like, hey, we're gonna go check this place out. And it's like just this rope swing on this tree, like over this hill that looks over the Hollywood Hills and all of Los Angeles. And it's really cool. So like
Yeah.
going up and just like that little thing. Hey, we're gonna go for a drive up into the hills, or driving along Mulholland. Like I've driven Mulholland like from one end to the other, so I know every like little bit of it. So it's like, oh, I know that this pull off here is like really cool.
Yeah.
And you can see like different stuff from this perspective or whatever, or this place or that place. And so little things like that, I think make it help make those dates like really special.
Yeah. And it's also the way you frame things. And so if, I'm not a huge proponent of coffee dates, but let's say it is a coffee date. Instead of just picking Starbucks or, whatever coffee place is close, pick something that might be a little further away,
Yeah, like
not
a
necessarily
little like
from,
hideaway coffee shop or something.
yeah, find something that is off the beaten path. And I know a lot of guys listening to this are like, she's going to think about a murderer. No, she's not. Like, unless you're thinking that in your head,
Yeah.
then you have to worry about it. But it's going to be more interesting. It's going to be more exciting. Unless, of course, there's that. Well, I don't want to Uber that far. I understand there are limits to what we can do in this culture. So if it's a second date, you pick her up because it's not such a formality anymore to pick up on the first date, given, society, Uber, etc. But pick the place that has something different to offer, has the craziest unique coffee drinks this side of the Mississippi or whatever.
Yeah.
It's not mundane. That's the most important thing. So it like again, it doesn't have to be this huge thing. It's coffee, but it was coffee at this place that you didn't even know existed, and you lived in the area your entire life. And there was this thing and that thing. And then on the way there, maybe you guys jammed out to unexpectedly to like your favorite song you didn't know you had in common,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know, and that's an experience rather than sitting in the car formally, how was your week?
Yeah.
And it's like, I'm gonna need way more than coffee to stay awake for this date, dude. Like, bring out the Coke because I this
This is turning into a cocaine and champagne date.
right, right. So interesting conversation, playful conversation, but it doesn't mean it has to be perfect.
Yeah.
Like in interesting conversation is so much simpler than it sounds. Well, what's interesting? Everything's interesting. It's the way you look at it and the way you perceive it and the way you present it and the way you find the paradox in it or the irony, so on and so forth.
Yeah. I mean, I think the dates that are just kind of like a bumbling mess, so to speak, but you're both having a great time are like just amazing. And, you talked about this little hideaway or that hideaway or this coffee shop or that coffee shop. I didn't know that there was this hotel that had a rooftop bar in Venice.
Oh yeah, yeah,
You know which one I'm talking about.
yeah, yeah,
So I take this girl on a date there, and I was like, "Oh, this place is pretty cool," you know? And I was like, "Oh, the beach is right here."
yeah. Yeah. I didn't know
Right?
about that restaurant for like 6 years.
It's unbelievable.
Yeah,
Yeah. I was like, "Oh, the beach is right here.
yeah.
It's like, let's go walk on the beach."
Right,
Next
right,
thing you know, we're in the ocean making out. Like
right, right.
it's like that kind of stuff. Like I didn't plan any of that. I just looked at the surroundings and I was like, what can we do here?
Yeah.
And it was obviously the beach. Oh, let's get in the water. Of course, like, it's night. She's being a girl. "Ah, I don't want to get wet, and
Hmm.
next thing you know, we're knee deep in the water and got wetter after that. So
Right.
it's, that kind of stuff is really important. And so it's not just about the venue. What can you do in and around the venue as well? And
Yeah.
I think thinking creatively, um, you can pull off some pretty amazing stuff.
You
And
really can. And I don't want men thinking they need permission to do this. Like, oh, well, it's the first date and I don't really know her that well.
go for it.
So that's when you establish tonality. This is who I am. This is what to expect going forward. If you show up to a date and it's polite and it's fine and whatever, now stretch that out 30, 40, 50 years. That's your marriage.
Yeah.
We, you know, be, we become normal people after X amount of years, of course. But if that spark or that something different is there at the beginning, it can be relit with the right effort, etc., down the road. But if it was never there to begin with, the chances of it ever coming once you're, no
Yeah.
pun intended, once you're 25 years into a marriage, it's just not going to.
No,
And
absolutely.
so you don't ask for permission, you don't look for permission. And again, these things don't have to be so extreme that you would have to second guess if you're allowed to do it.
Yeah, no, I mean, you're absolutely right on that. Like, if you're second guessing what you're about to do, you probably shouldn't be doing it. But,
That,
in
or
that,
you're just always second guessing yourself and you need to give yourself a break and trust your gut and know, no, this is great.
yeah.
I I'm right now in my mind, I'm embodying um, Ray Liotta and I'm giving her that experience. I'm embodying that. I'm choosing it. So I
And
don't have to think twice about it.
and I would even say, play with the environment that you're in, right? Like, is it a cool,
Absolutely.
sexy environment? Like, allow that to affect you. Play into
Yeah.
the experience of the ambiance of where you are.
Yeah.
Like, say you go to Chateau Marmont, like, I hate to say that, I hate to throw that out there, but there's a history there, right?
Right. There is. Yeah.
Some seedy shit that's happened there, and
Yeah.
and it's known for like parties and
It's a
like
scene.
kind of debauchery and like this high class kind of scene and play into that, have fun with it. And I think people just get a little too sterile, and guys get a little too sterile with what they've got going on. And I do want to say one thing about, kind of like the bloopers and the blunders of dates. And I'm going to tell a story. And
Not just this podcast, the bloopers and the
yeah,
blunders.
not just this podcast. Exactly. I mean, this is a world-class lesson in bloopers and blunders right here, what we're doing.
Yeah, it is. Yes.
This
Yes,
is
it is.
everything not to do.
If you want people to listen to you, do not do anything we're doing right now.
Exactly. But,
Including this.
things are going to happen on dates. Like mistakes are going to be made. Like it's just going to happen. And I think I told you this story before, but I'm going to make it a quick story. I was on this date in DC in a very crowded bar restaurant with this girl ordering food. They just like crammed the tables into this restaurant. She's sitting right next to me, like her shoulders pressed against mine. She orders a glass of wine, and there was like multiple waiters waiting on us, which was really weird. And the one waiter brings the wine while I'm turned talking to the other waiter, puts it on the table right behind my elbow, and
Oh,
I'm talking to him like this. Yeah, yeah, yeah. She wants this. And he's like, yeah, okay, cool. I turn around,
oh,
knock the entire glass of red wine all over this girl's shirt. I mean,
perfect.
soaked.
Perfect. That is an experience.
Yeah. And so I grab the napkins and I'm like, I can't like touch your boobs.
Right.
No.
Right. Right.
I'm like trying to help. It was just so awkward. And at the end of the day, I still made out with her. It was awesome.
Yeah.
But
Honestly, it's like don't purposely spill wine, but
yeah,
maybe purposely spill wine.
yeah,
You
exactly.
know, you don't want to manufacture, stuff like that, but those things can be gold if you use them the right way. If you shrink
Yeah,
and apologize rather than going like, oh no, people are going to think I shot you. Like,
yeah.
I don't know. Just
I
play with it, go with the moment, be in the moment, and it's going to loosen both of you up. I mean, maybe she won't be happy. Not every woman's going to be happy about that, but
she's
the
definitely
way that you own it can really affect her response
yeah,
and
totally.
can create can create this memory of, oh my gosh, what an experience that was. And I would take the stain on the shirt for the experience.
Yeah, I
And
mean,
that sounds very perverse, but
yeah, I mean, she was a champion. I mean, it was awesome, And I'm pretty sure at somewhere along the night, I said, "Oh, we're gonna have to get you out of this clothes."
of course, you use what you're given.
Exactly.
It, these things can be gifts.
Yeah,
Things
totally.
that we look at is, oh, I got screwed, or shoot, that the world's against me. No, use that. Make that special, make that interesting, make that yours. Own it.
Yeah, I mean, I did. There was nothing else I could do. So I just had to own it. And as awkward as it was, and as bad as I felt because I just ruined this girl's shirt.
Right,
But at the same time, it wasn't my fault. Like, what kind of idiot puts a glass at the edge of a table behind somebody's elbow? And that's
right,
exactly what he did.
right. He
And
might have done it because he knew it was going to set you up for success. We
Exactly.
need more waiters like that.
Yeah, he's got my back.
Yeah, that's your wingman.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, like I mean, there's always going to be some kind of blooper happening, some kind of
Yeah,
bump, some kind of mistake. And if you react negatively to that, I mean, that says something about your character as well. And she's going to be taking note of that.
right from the beginning, right from the get-go. And so your energy right at the beginning, when I say tonality, I mean setting who you are, what she is going to expect from you, personality wise, energetically wise, right from the get-go. You if you bump into her accidentally before you even say hello, and you go inward and oh, I'm sorry about that. That's how she sees you now. It's difficult to get someone to see you in a new light once you've already established
Yeah.
an
And
energy. It's similar to like, I don't know if like a guy from high school who was the skinny dweeb shows up at the class reunion if Facebook didn't exist and no one had seen him, you know, in 20 years, and he's ripped and just hot and he's got this gorgeous chick. People will be like, wait, that's Bobby?
yeah,
Whatever,
exactly.
like that's him?
Yep.
And then he'll be in that energy long enough where people will start to buy it and believe it. But for the people who knew him a long time ago, it's going to be harder for them to adjust to that person. And so if we shrink that down a little bit, that's what it's like when you open a date on a very low energetic note.
Yeah, you're
And
really
by low energetic, I don't mean you're not like jumping for joy, but when you have closed off energy.
yeah. You're really setting the tone for everything. And if you're super reactive about stuff, she's going to be like, this guy's this guy's not going to be handling me when, you know, my girly time is happening.
Right, right, right. And
He's just not going to be able to handle my shit because he can't handle the fact that he made a mistake with, the order or something, or, wasn't paying attention and accidentally ran a red light and is like freaking out about it now instead of saying, living a little dangerous today, and just
right,
keeping on going like it's no big deal. Uh,
right.
there's a lot that women are reading into his reaction to things, and something that you guys have to monitor for yourselves is like, hey, how reactive are you being? And a lot of guys, unfortunately, are very reactive.
Yeah. I had a date with a guy, gorgeous, turned out to be gay, but
What?
I encouraged him to come out, and he still to this was years ago, but um we were in West Hollywood. Clue number one, he
Yeah,
lived in West Hollywood. But he was an actor. Oh my gosh, drop dead gorgeous. We were walking from his apartment. I think it was our second date. We were walking from his apartment, and he had great hair. And a gay dude walked by, and of course, I was completely invisible. And he said to, I don't want to say his name,
yeah,
um,
the guy.
the guy, he said, great hair. And my date, I'll just call him John for the sake of it, he did this effeminate movement, which I hadn't seen yet, because again, it was like our second date. He went like, thanks, like kind of like, I went, whoa, wait a second.
One second here.
So we're getting into an experience, not the kind that we want, but it was such a weird juxtaposition of behaviors because, or maybe it wasn't if you look at it in another way, because when we got to the bar, this guy started hitting on me. Not typical. I'm not used to that. It's not like, I don't think he was expecting it. Like, she's not hot enough for the, but he was getting annoying. And the guy that I was with John snapped at him eventually. He was like all flustered and, got like sweaty and went, "Stop it, man. Like, I'm on a date here. Like, don't you see?" Like,
Wow.
and it was so eek that, the hair and the face, it all disappeared. Like I
Yeah,
was just
yeah,
like,
yeah.
ugh.
You're like, what in the world?
Yeah, between that first kind of effeminate movement and then the snapping at him, I'm like, I guess maybe he was on his period. I don't know. But it was very off-putting that he didn't control himself in a way that was cool. I understand we're human beings
Yeah.
and we have emotions, but if he handled that in a different way, who knows? I might have not encouraged him to go gay. We did have a third date, and that's when I did encourage him because he did bring up that he was bisexual and thinking, anyway. But the uh, the attraction level went from like, okay, yeah, second date, super cute, really nice guy, charming, to the third date was literally just because we were like friends at that point, and I thought he was cool,
Nice.
and I wanted sushi. And the whole time we talked about him coming out. And anyway, not interesting for the listeners, but what was interesting was that he ended up dating this guy who was friends with a guy that I had been like in love with years before. It was just kind of ironic. I'm like, I don't know. Of course, like whatever. This is when I want to start the podcast over again. Can
That's
we start again?
that's quite the LA story.
It's very much LA, yeah. It's
That's
very LA.
LA story if I've ever heard one.
Yeah. And so,
So,
like, that could have become a fun experience if he handled that in a certain way. Like, that would have been an experience. I would have remembered that. How would you say, to put you on the spot, how could he have handled that in a way that would have made it a fun experience or an interesting, unique experience?
well, I mean, it would be dependent upon the context of the aggression of the other guy or how annoying that other guy was. Um,
He was annoying.
yeah, because it's pretty weird with guys. I mean, when they're being aggressive and being annoying, we are already giving them kind of the benefit of the doubt, but we're only going to let it go for so long, and we will snap at them.
Right.
But
And that's what happened.
there's there's a way to do it that is more cool, right?
Yeah.
Like, hey man,
Yeah.
just right, like just calmly take care of it. If it escalates after that, then she has seen, okay, he tried to be calm about this. The guy clearly is not taking the message. And okay, she's probably now getting annoyed, which would justify his next more aggressive action if he did something more aggressive. But to make it fun, I don't know, that's tough because you have a guy and we're very territorial. And if we're on a date, we don't want another man around. We don't want men close to our girl. And it is a little bit of a confrontational space. And especially if he really likes you and he really wants to win you over, he's going to be super protective of
Yeah.
of the girl he's on a date with. But there is a way to, be a gentleman with annoying guys. And I've been on a couple of dates where I've had something similar to that happen. It's usually me immediately saying at some point, dude, chill, like go.
Yeah.
And that's usually it. I've never had anything really escalate beyond that. But it's all about the tone, right? Like if he does it in a calm, sexy tone, not that telling another guy to fuck off basically is sexy, but from a woman's perspective, oh, he's got control of himself, he's got control of the situation. He was trying to be a gentleman about the way he did it. The guy was annoying. And so that all plays into your favor at that point. But when you're getting really reactive and snappy, she's going to see that too. And she's like,
Yeah.
this guy isn't in control of himself.
Yeah. The way I can picture it, not necessarily being fun per se, but being more of a turn on
Mhm.
would be, so let's say, because in the actual scenario, the guy came around. It was like we were sitting at tables. Everyone was sitting at tables, but there was some socializing where people were kind of walking around. And the guy kept circling back, which was annoying. And he was tall. I don't know if he was high. He was very much something you couldn't miss.
Yeah.
And
In Los
so,
Angeles, I'm sure he was.
yeah,
Hi.
he was definitely, he had to be. I mean, we're on Sunset Boulevard, like across from Chateau Marmont, basically.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
And so, how I can see it being very sexy would be if my date, after the third time around, the first, second, maybe third, he says, "All right, man, like we're enjoying ourselves here. You mind?" M- Once, twice, okay, three times, maybe four. The guy comes back around. My date stands up and just with like a nice chill smile on his face, just goes, "Come here for a second," to the guy and calls him over. And they just have a Ray Liotta, Goodfellas
Yeah.
little talking,
Yeah.
you
Yeah. Yeah.
know?
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
But he's smiling, he's charming, but he's basically like,
Yeah.
stop fucking around. I'm not, you know.
Yeah.
And then he comes back to the table, no harm, no foul.
Yeah.
And he's like, yeah, he's not coming back.
Yeah.
That sexy,
Totally.
calm, in control, taken care of. He was looking out for you, looking out for his experience, your experience, grabbed it by the balls in the most tactful way and
Sure.
just said, "You're done." Like,
Yeah.
do you get it?
Absolutely.
No threats, just like man to man, you're done.
Yeah.
And oh, I would be instantly taking my baseball hat off since I wear it all the time. I'd be like, oh, finally, I'm going to show my head to this guy.
Wow. The all of your head. Yeah, it's that's a great way to go about it in a gentlemanly way.
Yeah.
And
You know what? Sorry. And to add to it, what would be even more gangster would be he got the guy to buy us drinks.
yeah, yeah,
Like that. Oh my God. I mean, talk about smooth, tough to pull off. But earlier, what I was going to say when I was like, can we please stop the podcast was because I couldn't think of the term fake it till you make it.
yeah,
Who can't think of that? I don't know. People who have 3 hours of sleep.
yeah,
But I think the term gets a very bad rap. And if it's rebranded, it makes a lot of sense. Be who you want to be, act as that person, step into those shoes until you become that person. So if it's not
yeah,
you to have the gonads to go up to the guy and go, "Hey, come here." Fake it till you are that guy. You don't have to be that. I'm not saying that that's what every single guy has to do. But if that's how you envision yourself, if you imagine yourself as a movie character or as somebody that really owns your shit,
yeah.
act on it.
There's so
That's
many
the
guys.
only way you will become it. Everyone really has to fake it until they make it, for the most part.
I would agree. Yeah, adopting different archetypes, that's for sure. James Bond is a big one for men, that's a real
Of
big one
course.
for guys.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or any kind of like suave, like mobster, something like that, mafia guy, like was it Al Pacino in uh
Scarface?
Cocaine Cowboys or whatever it was. I can't remember.
Scarface?
Scarface. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Scarface. Right. Just running stuff,
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
want to,
And if you look at Al Pacino, yeah, he's an actor, but he's tiny.
yeah.
That character as an actor, so is Tom Cruise. So are like there's
Yeah.
so many tiny actors.
Yeah.
Um, it
They
just they're all
are.
miniature.
Yeah.
And then the women are like tall goddesses, but um they're they're owning who they are in real life and in the movie. So Al Pacino, when he walks into a back in the day when he would walk into a room for an audition, yeah, this little guy walks in, but this huge energy
Yep.
comes out. So you don't have to be tall and perfect and this and that and like make my eyes roll with how many cliches you think you need to be. Those are just excuses dressed up as something legitimate, and they're not legitimate excuses.
Yeah.
So, yeah, the energy that you carry with you, you walk into a room, the energy shifts. Like my last video on YouTube here, I was talking about walking into a room and embodying that song that you sing in the car and you're just on. Have it in your head, quietly playing. You're not actually singing it, but it is in your head. And you've got that energy flowing when you walk into the room. Walk into every room just doing that. Um, I picked a Frank Sinatra song, of course, because why wouldn't I? But that can literally change your energetics.
Yeah.
Like the energy that comes out of your chakras, which I hate to say, and I that could be considered occult stuff, whatever.
No, I mean, you're absolutely right because I mean, we all have an energetic signature and it does come from different parts of our body, right?
It
And
it
how
does. And
to do it.
I had this therapist years ago who made this very clear to me. I was young. I'd never heard of such a thing. I went to her to say, not specifically just to see, I went to see her for a lot of reasons, but in this session, I said, I, I feel like I'm I'm a good, I know I'm a good person. I'm likable. But people are responding to me very negatively. Like I walk in and it's like people just shut down or like I feel like completely unaccepted right from the get-go. And she brought up energy, which is the first time. And of course, I was living in LA. So I had to hear about
Yeah,
energy
really.
from my therapist in LA. Um, and she got into the energy that I was projecting. And so she said, "Do you mind if I bring in a couple things for our next session?" And I said, "No, sure." So she brought in, and will have people thinking, "Oh, it's so woo-woo," or people will buy it or not buy it, whatever. But she came in with a crystal pendulum, which is a crystal that hangs from a chain. And she also brought in these wire hangers, and I forget the name. There is a name for them. But
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
yeah, like they look like they could like maybe work like do an abortion and or measure energy. Like it's just basically an
Multi-use tool.
yeah, yeah. It's just a metal hanger stretched out, basically with one end up and one end down. She said to me with the hangers from far away, in your mind, just think a thought, just like something, nothing that big of a deal, but just something. The wire, like the hanger, she had pointed directly at me from a fair amount away. They kind of open like this. And then she said, "Now I want you to sing." the most moving song you could ever imagine in your mind, but unabashed. Just feel it, sing it. And the wire hangers, as soon as I did, and it was Oh Holy Night, Christmas
Nice.
song, and the part fall on your knees, hear the angel voices, like that moves me so much. And as soon as I sang that in my head, she didn't know I was singing that in that moment. The wire hangers went whoop
Nice.
and swung open to my energy that started to pour out. And then I was like, well, she's got to be bullshitting me. Like, this can't be real. So I did it with her. I held the wires, or I held the wire hangers. First thing, it was like, they moved a little bit. And then in her head, she sang something moving and they swung right open. And then with the crystal pendulum, she hung it over my chakras
Yep.
and they spun and they'll spin based on the energy. And it blew my mind. I, I know there's quantum physics and all of this stuff, but like I was a young, early 20 something realizing energy is tangible.
Yep.
People can feel your vibe. That's why someone will say, "Oh, that person gives me like a creepy vibe." It's literally the energy pouring out of you that we can physically feel. We're not aware we're feeling it. So when you shift your mindset and do something like that, and you have that song that just like, you're the man with that song, and you walk into a room, your energy is going to hit different.
Yeah, 100%. It's
So,
totally going to hit different. And, I like what you said about fake it till you make it because, a lot of guys, and I had one recently that I was working with, he's just like, yeah, it's like, I love James Bond. I love that whole, you know, cool cars, shooting guns and like nice suits and like hanging out at suave places and always getting the girl. And like, as I was working with him and talking to him, like it was really cool to see him shift into a little bit more of that character that he really wanted to live out, but his own version of it,
right,
obviously. And yeah, it was, it's cool. It is a crutch until you really get solid with yourself and can own everything that you want to own about yourself and be comfortable with it and not have to worry about what this person or that person thinks. So,
right. And
um,
multiple things can be true at one time. So I'm neurotic. I'm spending 48 hours aligning letters for thumbnails. That can be true at the same time as I'm pretty chill. So men can realize that yes, maybe they have a certain aspect to their personality where they're more shy and more introverted.
mhm.
But there's the side of them that also enjoys being the guy,
Yeah,
getting a moment of pizzazz, working the crowd a little bit, and then going back. I'm an introvert. I do stand up, and as soon as we're done with this, I have to go lay down for 8 hours to reacclimate to life because I am an introvert.
yeah.
But both are true. Like I like my space, I like solitude, but I also, like to
Put yourself out
be the
there.
showman. I grew up on stage dancing and like singing and Broadway and like, but then go away. And so you don't have to just be James Bond and then that's it.
Yep.
And it's also, you don't have to be James Bond. You can be your version of yourself, your version of seasoning of James Bond that fits you perfectly. It's
Totally.
seasoned just right for you.
100%.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Let's see, what else was I going to say about There was one other thing I can't remember right now. But if you do a good job, I'll just say this, if you do a good job on the first date, right? You really create that experience. You're really kind of embodying your favorite kind of character or archetype if you're not really comfortable with who you are as a man to begin with. Um, and you deliver that experience. The second date usually is not that big of a deal. If you nail it on the first one, the second one's easy to get.
Yeah,
But if you don't nail it on the first one, but there is opportunity for the second one, take the lessons learned from the first date, correct them, because everybody has butterflies when they first start dating. Everybody is a little nervous. Everybody's a little skittish and a little scared because of like we don't know each other. And the first dates could be good, they can be fun, but they may not be what you envisioned. But that doesn't mean that there's a loss. And
right.
take what you learned from the first date, all that information, what went smooth, what didn't go smooth, what did she say that she liked, that you could go and like make the date about a thing that you two are doing together that you didn't do on this date. And just because it doesn't go as smooth as you want on the first date, if she's saying yes to a second date, you have every opportunity now to fix that and make it just a beautiful date that's just Scorsese-like, right?
Yes.
And each date you go on, you have the opportunity to make it that much better and that much better. But it's really about nailing that first date and showing up really solid and struggling through the awkwardness of dating and setting yourself up for success at the end of the day.
Yeah. And there's the balance of having enough pressure on yourself
Mhm.
to bring yourself to life, but not so much pressure that you choke,
Of
that you
course.
totally screw it up.
Yeah, and I think that does happen quite a bit. And guys put way too much pressure on themselves to just to make this thing amazing instead of, instead of just chilling a little bit, making it good enough and in alignment with who they really are and setting themselves up. Like that's going to get you a second date before putting way too much effort into feeling, and really pressuring yourself to perform on the first date. Like you're not going to get a second date on that.
No, no.
But,
And it,
if you do an okay job on that first date and you really own who you are, that second date's almost guaranteed.
yeah, yeah. So as much as we're here saying, you gotta kill it on the first date, but be chill about it. Don't try too hard. Don't, relax. Like, not a big deal. It's really about owning yourself and your presence and being comfortable with who you are. No apologies, no second guessing.
Yeah,
And that's the starting point to a very good date and second date.
absolutely.
So, but yes, we do want them to be experiences. And the more you date, so, if your first dates aren't going well, I know a lot of men don't think in detail. They're more, like just
Very
fact
linear.
oriented,
Yep.
but it might be painful. But picture that date. And if you're a screenwriter, how would you have rewritten that scene or that date to make it what you wanted it to be and apply that to your next first date?
Yeah. Go watch some Woody Allen movies.
Seriously. I mean, come on. If Woody, I mean, I know the whole thing about his marrying his adopted daughter, et cetera, blah, blah, blah. But like, if Woody Allen can get laid, which he got laid a lot,
Yep.
like I'm doing like a I can't do impressions, so I feel like I'm doing like a Trump thing.
Yeah.
Uh, if he can get laid, you can get laid.
Totally. Yeah.
And that's why
Woody Allen.
banter and personality matter so much.
Yep.
Take a look at comics and take a look at their wives and their girlfriends. Doesn't look like they add up. Louis C.K. I mean, personality plays such a bigger role than men like to imagine. It's just the whole cliche that they get to hang on to of like, no, you have to be tall and rich and perfect and handsome. It's like, no, you gotta be secure. You gotta be,
Adventurous.
you've got to have a personality. You got to be able to make someone feel something in your presence.
That's the biggest thing
And
right
you're,
there. Feel something.
yeah,
Yeah.
like you could take GQ magazine model versus the Louis C.K. style.
Hmm.
One with personality, one can make me laugh. One no personality, looks like a god. I'm I'm choosing the Louis C.K. every time.
Totally. I know what you mean. I mean, I see the same thing in women. Just like, oh,
Yeah.
wow, you're stunning. Oh, you have the personality of a cardboard box. Next.
Yeah. Things can turn people attractive or they can turn people unattractive.
Yeah,
And that's a real phenomenon for women, which I would love to talk about at some point. Um, the the morphing of looks for men that they weren't initially attracted to, but got to know their personality
absolutely.
and then think he's the hottest, sexiest thing ever, which I have experience with. But a
That,
lot of women, I would say the majority,
that would be
experience.
a really cool topic. We should talk about that because
Yeah, and I have,
I
oh,
would
sorry.
like to hear your perspective on that. I have a couple thoughts on it.
Yeah, I have a lot. So I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. But there's a client I had several years ago who had a name for it, for that like phenomenon. I have asked ChatGPT, I've asked Claude, I've Googled. I cannot find it, and so I've got to email him and see what that term is. It was such a perfect term, but it
Yeah,
was for women, you know, suddenly having this like change in vision where the guy goes from ugh to like, oh,
yeah,
it's a real thing.
yeah, absolutely. I've seen it many, many times, and I've been around some pretty beautiful women that I'm like, that's your boyfriend? That's your husband? What?
Yeah, yeah.
What?
I remember being younger and judging like celebrities when I would like think they were mismatched.
Yeah.
And then I grew up and I was like, oh,
Yeah.
okay, you're not just like it's not just looks.
No, it's a hundred
Oh,
percent not just looks. I mean, we all obviously look for the total package of looks and brains and personality, and it's hard to find. It's
yeah.
hard to find everything that you need in one person. But that's kind of the fun of dating, in my opinion, is like, oh, is this the one? Like it's
Yeah.
exciting.
Yeah. Yeah. It can feel like scratch off tickets where you're like, I'm gonna get 1 million. I know it's this time. It's gonna be the $1 million winner. And then, it's $2.
Yeah. Or nothing.
But you still get excited. There's still like the no, you choose to be the winning lotto ticket.
Exactly.
Like you can be. Well, that's my inspiration for the day. Now I'm gonna go back to sleep.
Sounds good. I think I'll go to sleep too.
Yeah. Well, I think yeah, you're on
European time right now, but
did you say Bermuda time?
Eastern European time.
Okay. So I was like, I thought you might be calling back to me calling
Yeah,
it Bermuda.
that would have been funny. That would have been funny. No, not Bermuda time like we initially talked about,
Bucharest time.
but Bucharest time. So,
Yeah.
well, cool. Fun talking with you.
Yeah, same. We will be back. This will morph into what it will morph into, but you guys can, if you're watching and enjoying, expect more.